What is going on, Grinders? It's Chief. We are in the building, and it is the pre-lock show for Sunday Night Football. We are here. We are back. Let's get spicy. The spicy crew is back. Obviously, you guys saw us today on the pre-lock show for the main slate. And TJ and myself, I think it looks like we're going to be the Sunday night crew to try to carry you guys home. I am so excited, man, because this is one of my favorite times of the day where, look, the main slate didn't work out. Get that out of your mind. I, for one, will tell you guys, I'm always going to be honest, obviously. Man, I am down in the dumps with that main slate. It did not go the way I thought it was going to go in some spots. And that's week one. I don't really sweat it too bad. Had some bold calls. Obviously, I got close on these bold calls, TJ, but close is not enough. One of my bold calls was two would go for 303 today. Definitely went over 300 yards. Did not throw for 3 touchdowns. And my other bold call from just a real life perspective was that the Arizona Cardinals would knock off the Buffalo Bills. And that did not happen, but they got close. And I was telling people Arizona plays teams tough all year. But guess what? Close isn't good enough. So I lost that one. TJ and I are here to try to help you get this thing right back on track. What is going on, my brother?
Tough day for me as well for the main slate. All my main lineups just finished 2-3 points out of min cash. All the good stacks had bad defenses and tight ends. All the Bears defense I had and Dallas Cowboys defense, Saints defense. Well, those teams were with the bad stack. So no right, a lot of good plays, no right combinations on to the showdown slate. As long as Cooper Kupp has a good game tonight, ideally over 99.5 yards, but at least if he gets over 67.5 yards, I will have a profitable day for betting and for pick'em. And so it's all on Cooper Kupp today for that one. I see Binking in chat. They said they smashed today, so shout out to Binking. Congrats on the good day. Let's parlay that into a good showdown slate as well. This is going to be a really fun game.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I must say, TJ, I do feel like the NFL has done a great job with the standalone games to kick off the season when they know that most of the country will be watching one concentrated game. I feel like they've done a beautiful job. Thursday night, we got, a really good game between the Chiefs and the Ravens. Friday, in South America, we got the Eagles and the Packers. Obviously, Jordan Love got hurt, but outside of that, like the game itself was pretty good as it continued on. And tonight, for showdown, we get the Rams, we get the Lions, two teams that we expect to be able to move the football down the field. TJ, let's just kick it off. Your overall thoughts for this game from a DFS perspective, from a showdown perspective. I feel like the production is going to be concentrated. I don't know if we need to reach too far on the captain offerings, but that's just me for this slate. I feel like we kind of know where the ball's going to go. How are you feeling about this game overall from just a top-down perspective for showdown?
I'm looking to get a lot of the pass catchers in today's game. I love the quarterbacks. I love all of their receivers, and I love the tight ends. So I'm going to be going heavy on the pass catchers. We had the tight end smash on Thursday. I will likely be underweight on the running backs today because I like these tight ends and these wide receivers quite a bit more today. I do think there is a very important conversation to be had, and that's really only if you'll only even notice if you watched like preseason stuff and early reports through training camp for the Rams. And that's what to do with Kyren Williams tonight. This is a guy who had a complete control of the backfield last year, full-on workhorse, 80% snaps guy. There's rumors that he's going to be their number one punt returner this year. And if that is the case, that kind of points towards, hey, maybe they're going to be running it more out of a committee this year. So it's Kyren Williams. If you think he is still going to be the workhorse back for them today, he is not priced like it. And so he's in a really, really good spot. If you think he's going to go out there, carry 18 to 22 times and catch 5 or 6 balls today, he is priced incredibly for GPPs. If you think that's going to be maybe he doesn't have that full lead back status anymore, and he's going to be conceding some of the role to Blake Corum, the rookie, then maybe all of a sudden he's looking like he's in a good spot and Kyren Williams isn't as nice. So it's a very interesting point, I think, for how you want to handle this slate.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And guess what, TJ? It sounds like, if the Rams don't give Kyren this full backfield, sounds like they're going to be making a splash to me. How would you guys like to make a splash? Hop into Splash Sports. Skip the trip to Vegas. Splash Sports hosts NFL Survivor and pick'em pools every week, available in 34 states and Canada. Start with the $1 million Survivor pool in week 1 when that's already kicked off. Pick one winning team each week for a chance at $1 million. But remember to not use the same team twice. Join us in week 2 for the RotoGrinders Survival Revival Tournament. It's just $20 to enter. An entry with over $20,000 to be won, plus RG premium prizes for the top 20. Check the links in the description below. And if you're enjoying football, if you're enjoying listening to some of your favorite personalities and analysts at RotoGrinders, we've got a favorites pod contest. If you're looking for a plus EV pod contest this NFL season, our friends over at Action Network have one for you. Their podcast called The Favorites is bringing back their free NFL Pick'em contest this season. It's totally free to sign up at favorites.actionnetwork.com. Just 5 picks against the spread every week. Cash prizes for the top 10 finishers, $40,000 in the first place. That's really good. And $100,000 prize pool. Thousands are for grabs each week. Again, it's totally free to play. The contest just went live. Just go to favorites.actionnetwork.com to sign up and compete for the $100,000 prize pool. How are you going to win on Action Network? How are you going to hang out and compete in those contests? You need RG Premium, folks. NFL Premium is on sale. Get your first month of NFL Premium for $15 off. You can also get yourself a 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. That's a savings of $250 instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium. If you're not a fan of commitment, like I am with my beautiful wife, you can get a month of RG combo premium for $120. Take us out for a date. Those that want a test run before buying can dip their toes in the water for our 3-day pass at $19.99. Slide into our DMs. Check the links in the description below. All right, TJ, we are off. Let's talk through what we want to do here. At the captain position, I've got my favorite captain. I've got a couple favorite captains. 3 are like at the top, and I'm squeezing a couple more just in case. But who's your favorite? And then let's work it from there.
I think the biggest thing that stands out for me, first off, is that it's so wildly spread out. There's not a single player standing out as like a high owned option. Like for example, on Friday night, we had Jalen Hurts projecting for 30+% ownership at the captain position. 12% is the highest today with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cooper Kupp right behind him at 11.9, and Akua right behind him there. Both of the quarterbacks just shy of 10 with Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you have Laporta, Montgomery, and Williams all projecting for close to 7%. The only ways to potentially get sneaky, are guys that you're just hoping catch a touchdown. They don't have anywhere near the same roles. So you can kind of insert blender voice, play whoever you want here because they're all just evenly matched up there. Now, if you look at the NFL Sims tool for RotoGrinders, you'll see that Cooper Kupp and Amon-Ra St. Brown both have way higher optimal rates than they do ownership percentages. Both of them are up close to 20. But both of their projections, Cooper Kupp's projection, much higher on the RotoGrinders, which for what it's worth, I agree with, than if you look somewhere like the Blitz, where it's a little bit lower. I think Amon-Ra is the top captain today. I think he is the best option. There are enough cheapies today that I don't, and like the quarterbacks are cheap enough that you can build a really nice lineup with Amon-Ra at the captain, even though you're using a lot of salary. He would be my first choice. Cooper Kupp would be my second choice. And then either of the quarterbacks would be my third choice. What I love about this slate is if you play a quarterback at the captain position, and according to our Sims tool, like they're going a little over-owned at captain, but it's still sub for 10%. I don't really care. What I love about playing either of these quarterbacks at the captain today is there's so many ways that you can stack them up because the pass catchers are affordable and they're really good. And we know for them, we don't know who's going to be the leading receiver for a team like the Rams. It could be Kupp, it could be Nakua, but all four of their starters, their top three receivers and their tight end one, you can play them and they're affordable. And it's the same case with Detroit. Outside of Amon-Ra, everybody is cheap and affordable. So a lot of ways that you can stack them quarterbacks up. So while Amon-Ra is my top option, Kupp I think is 2. Either of these quarterbacks I think would be third, and they're very close behind.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think it's going to get very interesting, in your bills tonight in terms of, how you approach the rest of your lineup. I do agree. I think Amon-Ra is the guy tonight. But I will say, I think either Cooper Kupp or Puka Nakua could be leading this thing up too. Both of those guys should get massive targets in their office. Just like they did last year, TJ. So I think what I'm really saying is I think one of those big three is going to lead the way, and that's probably going to be chalky. But I think those guys get too much volume, and I think we've seen enough. Like even though I know Isaiah Likely was a tight end, like if you nail the receiver that blows up the slate, whether tight end or wide receiver, the guy that gets the 8 or 9 catches, 10 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown, you're usually leading the way in terms of how the slate is going to break out. So I think this is going to be, a really, really, really interesting slate. It should be high scoring. And if it's high scoring, TJ, then that's going to bode really well for us also. We got a good question here or a good statement here from Derek Ringering. And I'm going to go ahead and hop in the flex because I think we both agree. We feel like Amon-Ra's the guy, but for me personally, I do like the other two wide receivers as well, TJ. So I will have a fair amount of those guys in the showdown. Here's my question, or not a question. For Derek, he says tight end 2 always seem to win showdowns. Now, obviously, we know Isaiah Likely was tight end 2. I agree with that, Derek, in the sense of maybe the cheap ones do sometimes, like in the flex. I don't agree overall, though. Usually, to me, it's the big wide receiver. Whoever the wide receiver is that tees off, that's typically the guy that's going to help you win on DraftKings. Let me make that very specific. DraftKings yields better results with the wide receiver at captain. We're not saying it's 100% like every time it's going to happen that way, but typically you nail the receiver at captain, you've given yourself a chance to ride that thing to the money, TJ. So just from your perspective, tight end 2, and Derek did say correct, tight end 2 in the flex. But I'm going to open it up for you, TJ. How are you feeling? Tight end 2 in the flex. How are you feeling about that?
I mean, in general, sure, yeah, but I think it's always slate dependent. Like if Isaiah Likely was the tight end 2 for either of these teams, I'd be very interested. Brock Wright could probably catch a play action touchdown today, and heck, Davis Allen probably could too. I just like the tight end 1 so much in this game that I'm not dabbling with those two. Understood.
And I will say, like, Sam Laporta should be very productive, or the most productive tight end, we hope. Obviously, we know some of these smaller tight ends, or cheaper tight ends rather, could get there from a point per dollar perspective, but I feel like the receivers. Go ahead.
I'll lead into it right here. Kobe Parkinson is arguably my favorite play on the slate. He definitely is a salary saving perspective. He's 3,200. He's the tight end 1 for this team. Tyler Higbee is on the IR. We know Matthew Stafford likes to pepper his tight ends. Doesn't matter if it was Everett there, if it was Higbee there. I love Parkinson today at 3,200. I think he should probably be about 5K, 5,500, same as Jameson Williams and Demarcus Robinson, who I also love in tournaments today. Both of them, I think, have 50-yard catch potential. So I'll be spending up a lot as much as I can, but Parkinson, Jameson Williams, and Demarcus Robinson, those three are going to be huge priorities for me.
Yeah, love that. I don't hate that at all. Let me see, Parkinson. How much Parkinson? Well, let me ask you this: Are you going heavy multi-entry tonight, or are you building 20 lineups or so?
So I did high dollar 3 entry max, a lower dollar 3 entry max, and then 20 in the 20 entry max, and then also the 500K to first. So it's like 26 total lineups for me today. I have Parkinson in 2 of 3 for. Why is it sorted this way? I'll have to look at my phone, but I think I have Parkinson for 2 of 3 of my big lineups, 2 of 3 of my second tier lineups. And then I'm not sure for the 20, but probably pretty close to half.
Okay. Yeah. In my 150 bill right now, I've got Parkinson roughly 27%, which is, according to our ownership projections, about 10% more in the field. So I should be okay there getting them in. So hopefully that works out for me, man. I'm looking for a nice little payday here. If that comes together. Are you playing in the Millie Maker at all tonight for this?
Yeah, well, 20, the 500K to first. Yeah, I have 20 in that one.
Okay. All right, cool. Just wanted to know. I was just wondering. So yeah, let's move on to the running back position, because I feel like, I know you talked about Kyren, but including Kyren, if you throw Corum in there, we've got 4 viable running back options tonight. Clearly, we've seen that the Lions intend to use both of their running backs. It feels like, Jahmyr Gibbs is not even feels it. This is, in all actuality, Jahmyr Gibbs is the electric guy, right? The guy that's going to catch, let me air quote that, should catch more passes out of the backfield. But also, they're going to give Monty his fair share of carries, and they will give it to him around the goal line. If they land anywhere inside the 5, I think you can bank on Monty getting a shot at getting across the goal line for a touchdown. How do you feel about Monty versus Gibbs? And then we'll branch out in terms of those guys versus Kyren, if you think Kyren gets the bulk share. So let's go Monty versus Gibbs, and then those two together versus Kyren.
I view them pretty equally. It's just literally wherever the amount of whatever salary I need to have. I'm kind of just filling in. If I know I want one of the running backs, I'm just sort of filling it in last. I am perfectly okay with playing both of them together. I don't mind playing both of them together at all. Like, I think that's viable, even maybe with the Detroit defense, if you want to try and play that angle, or without. Maybe you want to go one of the receivers or Stafford from the Rams at captain MVP, and then you play both of the running backs. So I think that is fully viable today. And then in terms of which I like better, it's I guess Gibbs straight up, but it's just if Montgomery is the one who fits, I don't mind playing Montgomery in my lineup at all. I like them both better than Kyren Williams. I'm fully from my main 6 lineups, I'm fully fading Kyren Williams. And then in the 20 entry max, I have him fully faded except for 4 captain lineups. So I haven't, and basically, I think if he is the Kyren Williams we saw last year, he's cheap enough that he's the optimal captain. And so that's why I have him there. But I don't actually think that is going to be the case. I think it's going to be more of a workhorse spot. Plus, Detroit historically much better to the run than they are the pass. I'm just going to fade Kyren outside of those captain lineups and hope that he doesn't get many touches, or hope that he's full out and I have him in the under-owned captain position. I like Blake Corum more, just in that price range of if I don't want another receiver, or maybe even if I already have Williams and Demarcus Robinson, I don't mind using Blake Corum there. I kind of view him in line with either of the kickers. I think both of the kickers at 4-6 and 4-4 are in really nice spots today. They're probably both too cheap. I view Corum very similarly. I actually do have, you want this, the spicy take of the day is that 5 of my 20 lineups in the 500K to first, the half milli maker, I have Blake Corum at the captain position. Because just in case they saw this guy at camp and were like, wow, he's better than Kyren Williams right now. Kyren Williams, you go return punts. Blake Corum, we're going to give you 15, 16 carries. Kyren Williams, you get 7 or 8. Just in case that happens, I don't think it's likely, but it's week 1. We have no idea if we have ideas, but we don't have confirmation of any of these things. And so just because it's week 1, I'll think, hey, why not give it a shot? But it's definitely like a shoot for first, expect to lose kind of play.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get it 100%. And I just, TJ, put my 150 in on DraftKings, so feeling really good. Hopefully, I have some good news to report later on tonight. Let's talk about the wide receiver position as a whole. Obviously, I know we talked about at the captain position, we talked about Amon-Ra being one of our favorites. And I know you mentioned some of the other guys like Demarcus Robinson, who you will have some exposure to. Let me see how much Demarcus Robinson I have in my build. I feel like I might not have enough, TJ. Well, no, I'm slightly over the field on Robinson. I'm actually feeling pretty good about that. The field is around, at least we're projecting the field to be around 16. I'm at 20. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm slightly under the field on Corum, slightly over the field on Davis Allen. I know he's a tight end, but just generally speaking, wide receiver, we know the main guys. Let's compare Robinson versus, say, a Khalif Raymond. You got to choose between those two guys, because I don't think we have to sell you on Puka. We don't have to sell you on Cooper Kupp. We don't have to sell you on St. Brown. Like, those are the main guys. Let's get to the secondary guys. Let's go Robinson versus Raymond. Who do you like more?
So of the kind of, Jameson Williams is priced like a secondary option, and so he is the best of all these guys in this range. But of everybody outside of him, Robinson would probably be my favorite from a pure upside standpoint. But I think Raymond is the best sub 3K play on the slate. Really, the only 3K less than 3K play I have any confidence in. So I would put Keon Raymond behind Kobe Parkinson, but in that range of price. But I totally don't mind whatsoever using him as a cheap salary saver. I like Robinson better, but he's also $2,200 more expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not right at lock. It's 8:05. You guys know I like to go ahead and check and make sure that we know what time, because sometimes I get the starts mixed up. That's a running joke, guys. I got it mixed up one time, and now everybody anticipates that I'm just going to get it wrong. But we do have an 8:20 start tonight for those of you that don't know. TJ, since we've covered DraftKings a little, let's hop over to FanDuel briefly, and then we will come back to DraftKings. I do feel like there's a little bit more strategy in DraftKings because of the price punishment, if you will, that you get at captain. But generally speaking, FanDuel is a little bit more straightforward because they don't change the salary on you. How are you feeling salary-wise, and who do you like best?
Sorry, would we switch to FanDuel? I was building a new lineup here.
Switch it over to FanDuel. Yep. Switch it over to FanDuel. Just want to talk about, who you like more on this slate, at the MVP spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I still think Amon-Ra St. Brown is my top option here, not a quarterback, just because he is the clear number one option. We don't know who it is necessarily for. We don't necessarily know who it is for the Rams, but we do know who it is for Detroit. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. And so I find it pretty interesting that Goff and Stafford project for more ownership than St. Brown. I know this isn't a point per reception site, but I still think he outscores both of them in a median situation for me personally. And so I like St. Brown as my favorite option here as the third highest owned projected option. Kupp would be my next favorite. David Montgomery would be the only super different shot I'd take. We're probably going to get him about 5% ownership at the MVP position. He's super cheap, and so we don't have the salary saving options there, but I think it'll be fairly unique. And then he is, I think, my favorite option to use at the flex position on FanDuel, because where it's not point per reception and we do get the extra bonus for touchdowns, it's touchdown here. Yes, they do have the 100-yard bonuses now, but I honestly don't think any of the running backs are going to get there today. I like how cheap he is, and so he is one of my favorite options at the flex position. I would prefer him over both the kickers and Jameson Williams in that kind of range. And then for the cheap stuff, $7K DeMarcus Robinson, $6,500 Kobe Parkinson. Definitely my favorites over there. They're much cheaper than a Jameson Williams, who's all the way up at 9.5 here. So Williams, fantastic value on DraftKings. On FanDuel, the Robinson and the Parkinson are the guys I like.
Okay, I'm gonna come to some questions here just real quick while we're talking through it. I'm gonna go to this is coming from David Neiman. He's saying, how often do no quarterback lineups do well? I'm contemplating it tonight. In my opinion, I think you're going to need at least one, because I think one of these guys goes off. So, for instance, if you go with a no quarterback lineup, in my mind, that means this ends up being a low scoring game where the running backs where one of your running backs probably took over, and maybe one of your wide receivers gets all of the production, TJ, or your quarterbacks threw for 300 yards and like two wide receivers went for over 100 and 7 or 8 catches and a touchdown, and you kind of got something similar from the other side. I think in my mind, I think the only team that could really pull that off from a receiver perspective is the Rams. I think Puka and Kupp could go for 100 plus and both have a touchdown. I don't think that happens with the line. So if you're asking me, which quarterback I would probably play, it would most likely be Goff, because I think the Rams receivers are the ones that could push the envelope, if that makes any sense. Like, both of those guys could go 20 to 25 fantasy points, and Stafford could be at 20, 22. I'm just saying as an example where Goff could spread it around.
I'm more likely to play Stafford than I am Goff, just because I like the Detroit running back so much better than I like the Rams running backs. And so I kind of the Detroit kind of thing. I could play a lineup pretty comfortably with like St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, and Montgomery, and fade Goff altogether. And I think that could very well still score pretty well. And then you just have a Rams receiver as a run back kind of thing. So I think I think you can fade both in certain lineups. You can play one in certain lineups. More often than not, I am playing both of them in the flex just because they are so cheap. But I think I do like Stafford just a bit better than Goff.
I got you. I'm looking through my lineups. I've got some really interesting ones here. And I meant to say, I'm going to hop back on DraftKings real quick. The only running back that I kept in my captain pool tonight was Jahmyr Gibbs. I just think he's got huge, big playability in the passing game. I'm not saying he's going to catch 10 balls. I'm saying he's a guy that could catch 4 for 50 and a touchdown and still rush for 50 and pick up a touchdown. And that just gives him so much upside. So he was the only person I kept in there. And I'm checking through, man, I've got some unique lineups with him in the captain spot. So this is very, very interesting for me. Very interesting. Anyway, I think we're good on FanDuel because I think people understand it's straightforward. Let's hop back to DraftKings here as we get a little bit closer to lock. I will be taking questions. I am going to hop in the live stream chat also. I just want to make sure we don't have any questions in the live stream chat. And then, but I'm also monitoring. our YouTube chat as well. So if you've got a question, I'm going to start in the live stream chat. And if there are no questions there, which I don't see any right now, I will start with any questions in the YouTube chat. So back over to DraftKings. TJ, how much do you value the kickers tonight? And then we'll start talking some light construction and answer some questions. How much do you trust the kickers?
I don't really. They're both super young and they're fill-in, so I don't necessarily trust them a lot. I don't have a lot of conviction that they won't bust, but I think they are too cheap to be kickers. I think the kickers should be about $5K, and they come in cheaper than that at 46 and 44. So they are very valuable if you can't afford Jameson Williams or Demarcus Robinson, and then you don't want to trust Blake Corum. And then the kickers are very useful here. So I think I do find them quite valuable. Somebody's asking about a core plays for DK Cash, and I've seen a couple other questions about Cash as well. Should we kind of build what we think would be like a beginning of a first half of a Cash of a core lineup on DraftKings?
Yeah, and I think for me, TJ, so for instance, at captain, hear me out here. St. Brown is about 2K more than Cup. I like Cup a lot in the captain tonight. I think he's going to get a fair amount of volume. And I think for Cash, that just gives you, some extra savings to work with. I think for Cash, for me, I'm running Cup. I'll still run St. Brown, but I think I'd run him in the flex, not captain for Cash, just to get that extra touch of savings and definitely get one of the quarterbacks in there. And I think Jameson Williams deserves Cash consideration tonight at his price.
Let me walk you somewhere real quick, and let me see if you like it from a Cash perspective today. Even if we go Williams or St. Brown, at the captain, and then Goff and Stafford, we plug in Jameson Williams, who we love, and then my guy Kobe Parkinson. Never mind. That doesn't do what I wanted it to do today. I thought that would put us in a really nice spot for either a Cup or a Nakua, but it did not. So I'm okay with I like Cup, but I'm okay with running I like St. Brown, but I'm okay with running a Cup captain for this Cash scenario because
just for Cash. Like in tournaments, obviously we're trying to catch some upside, but I think if you're getting, I think those savings, man, can really pay off in the end. For Cash tonight.
And then, so would you say we are only playing one of the quarterbacks then? Because if we're playing St. Brown and then both quarterbacks, it does not leave us with much money here left. I will say we have talked about liking a lot of salary savers like Khalif Raymond and in particular Kobe Parkinson. I do think that is a totally viable options if you needed spaces to fill out the rest of this style of a lineup, including the big four. But essentially, you just have to choose one of these two quarterbacks. And or if you want to go both, you go all the way down. If you only want to choose one, you pick the one that you choose. And then you have Jameson Williams and Demarcus Robinson in that range. Or you could go Jameson Williams all the way down to a Parkinson or a Khalif Raymond. Say you go Raymond, it leaves you with 7,600 for either a Laporta or a David Montgomery in that spot. So either one of those routes for Cash work. Either you play the big four and you go double cheap with your last two spots, or you play one of the two quarterbacks and then you get your mid-tier guys, Jameson Williams and as a staple, and then you get to decide with the last two spots.
Yeah, for sure. I think any of those are viable. And once again, I think there's multiple ways to get there in Cash tonight because I think there's going to be a solid 3 to 4 high quality, productive skill position guys, right? TJ, like I think at least 4 guys, put up some nice scores tonight. And then it's just about construction and how you were able to get them in there. But yeah, man, I think this is going to be a good slate, a good game. So Riley's coming in. He's saying Cup or Laporta for FanDuel. For me, it's going to be Cup.
Yeah,
I think Cup's
Laporta's
got
got to
massive.
imagine cheaper, right?
Yeah, I would suppose. Let me check. I'm pretty sure he is. I was just
Like
in
straight up, it's
FanDuel.
definitely Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. That's where I would be also. Yeah, that's where I would be also. No, Cup's actually cheaper. So Cup's 10K, Laporta's 10.5. I'm absolutely.
I'm not playing on
absolutely
FanDuel personally.
10.
I
Yeah, I'm
didn't
absolutely on Cup.
I didn't realize how cheap Cup was on FanDuel. I would play on FanDuel. I would be playing Cup in 100% of my lineups, either the MVP or the flex. On FanDuel, I would have the lock button on Cooper Kupp. 100%.
Yeah, he's. I mean, Jameson Williams is 9,500 compared to Cup. If that tells you anything on FanDuel, he's super cheap. That's the way to do it. Definitely the way to do it.
If he was that cheap on DraftKings, where we have the salary multiplier, it would not matter to me.
He would almost been a lock button for me at the captain, to be honest.
Exactly. It wouldn't matter to me if he was 40, 50% owned. I'd be playing 100% there.
Yeah. And then we've got a question here. I have 1,900 left. Is that okay? That's perfectly okay in a showdown scenario. I mean, I don't know how many lineups I have that have massive salary gaps, and I'm trying to check that right now. Of course, all my ones at the top are going to be a lot closer. I probably should have bumped my salary down and said, hey, I don't want any lineups right at the max. And that would have filtered out some of the dupes. But a lot of my lineups have at least 1,000 or more left over. So hopefully that if that tells you anything, I mean, Showdown, I don't mind $4,000 left on Showdown. Believe it or not, some of those crazy lineups get you there from time to time. This one has 700 left, which probably isn't going to be anything earth-shattering. That's probably going to be a dupe also. Like this one has about this one I'm at 48,700. That was probably way less likely to get a dupe on it. So just it's just kind of how it rolls. But yeah, guys, look, it looks like we're coming up to lot. I'm super grateful. Go ahead, TJ.
If anybody has Jake Ferguson on a season-long team and they have the sleeper app, somebody fell asleep at the wheel, or they're having some system errors over there. I just got 19 notifications on my phone that Jake Ferguson is now questionable going forward, all from the sleeper app, all from the same thing. Yeah, probably just a technological glitch. But what is not a glitch, folks, is this game is kicking off in less than 1 minute. Hopefully, all your showdown dreams come true. I'd love for mine to come true tonight. I've got 150 in there. Hopefully it all comes together. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be here every Sunday. Folks, it's going to get more and more spicy the further we get into the season. I'm Chief. That is TJ. This has been your Showdown Pre-Lock Show. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for more NFL action.